Okay, remember that the oppressor and his allies are changing my voice. And also keep in mind that the government has basically admitted that I'm right about all of my key points. It's been admitted to me. And we look at this picture that I put on the screen, you'll see that someone who studied the satanic temple, who looks like a Satanist, who's sticking up for them the whole interview, and the guy interviewing him seems like a satanic temple person, a Satanist of some kind. Okay. He admits that the satanic temple does drastic things for the purpose of provoking people, right? They do protests, they put up various statues. The Baphomet statue, I think one time was in Detroit of all places, $100,000 Baphomet statue they did to provoke people. So they admit it. It's pretty straightforward. When someone is deliberately trying to provoke you, right? It's hard to get that wrong. So that is key, and that must be understood, and people must accept that that is the truth. You also must understand that the churches, the mosques, the synagogues, really mostly the churches and the synagogues. Now, I'm not a Muslim, but they tend to be less active in politics here in America than Jews and Christians. Okay. Even with the Palestine stuff going on, they don't have a lot of representation in the rich corporate world here in America. Okay, they're mostly whites, Jews, LGBT, token minorities from various groups, what have you. So once we understand that first part, you should already know that it's like their MO, right? It's how they do, it's how they get down, it's what they do. Okay, when it comes to provocation, and you should know from bipartisan, committees that the white supremacist right tends to work with the kind of woke and LGBT and Antifa and Black Lives Matter and so on and so forth left, which is very LGBT heavy, very satanic temple heavy in terms of their philosophies. The left and the satanic temple in terms of their collective philosophy, they're nearly identical to each other. So from about 7.5 minutes in the interview to about 9 minutes or so, the person says that the satanic temple doesn't want to be ruled by Satanism or Christianity, right? So they're kind of protesting and rebelling against everything in the name of freedom. But everyone with any sense knows that the government tells them what to do, right? It's a controlled opposition joke. But it is so pronounced in society, in American culture, that no offense to anybody, but American culture can be best described as a marriage between white supremacy and extreme church hypocrisy. And everyone knows, ask Bill Maher, for example. He's not the expert on everything, but, it's well understood, right? He's an agnostic, he's a libertarian. He says, yes, okay, the churches are full of hypocrites, okay? And LGBT kind of Satanism, right? You see Hollywood, the news, the social media sites, the dating sites. My goodness, the dating sites. If you've been on a dating site long enough, you know damn well that, I think Tinder's in Hollywood, their main center or something, okay, and this other stuff in California and what have you, okay, elsewhere in California, maybe the Silicon Valley, that's where these sites are centered, It's where Yahoo was centered too. These guys are LGBT guys, right? Techie guys. Agnostics, atheists, LGBT, they go hand in hand. Look at Elon Musk, look at Bill Gates. These guys aren't hyper-religious. These are kind of agnostics. And they've accepted the kind of American culture, right? They talk about, we built this city on rock and roll in their songs. It's a satanic marriage with white supremacy, which is inherently satanic. It's the cult of the flesh, right? Christ is a character in the story, says the flesh means nothing. The spirit means everything. And to them, the flesh means everything, and to them, the spirit means nothing, and they just pretend that the American spirit magically, which it of course isn't, magically is God's. That's stupid, right? I'm going to say it that way so don't take me out of context, because they're so likely to misrepresent me. They're so likely to represent me in a wrong way, like they represent God in a wrong way. They don't represent God. They represent people lying about God. So you see, they say that if there's going to be a altar that's going to be interpreted as a moral altar, even though it's clearly a white supremacist altar too, that it must accompany satanic values. And they're not budging. And these are the people that control so many things. A lot of them are bankers, they're techies, social media sites, their fashion industry, the porn industry. They have so much money coming. Big pharma, pharmaceuticals, the pharmaceutical companies are full of atheists, agnostics, Satanists. Everyone knows that. I mean, they slaughter people. Look at the pictures of the people who own these companies, like the Sacklers and so on and so forth. Look at the people who own the hotels. Okay, no offense to anybody, but I'm sure they can all agree this has to be said. The right thing to do is expose this. Their own families are suffering from their corrupt philosophies. They think that the world, right, 'cause America spreads its values, should be a mix between white supremacy in the church, like the Klan, and people in social clubs who argue because they're not in the Klan that their toxic philosophy, which is full of white supremacy, magically isn't that. It's like Republicans. They're not all in the Klan, but they propound white supremacy. It's like centrists, they propound white supremacy. It's like progressives, that they're a straw man, they're controlled opposition for white supremacy. So when you look at this thing, and I'm an expert in this, I've been studying this for years and years and years and years, okay? We see that the culture in America, the collective culture, is kind of Lenny Kravitz, right? They built this city on rock and roll. American woman, right? Rock and roll woman. American Pie. Scary movie, okay? Kids getting raped in the Boy Scouts, in the church, right? Homosexual rapes, mind you, in these conservative and conservative-like organizations. It is the marriage of LGBT thinking and the token minorities who are dumb enough to assimilate there, and white supremacy thinking and the token minority who are dumb enough to assimilate there. Satanism, LGBT, white, and Jewish supremacy. Thus, the fanatic support of Israel, even though the masses of protests are pro-Palestine, not pro-Israel, because they yield inordinate influence on society to the point where they're fuming me and poisoning me every day, and I have all this evidence, all these witnesses, right? And no one cares because they don't believe in decency to any decent degree. You can tell by exactly how I'm treated. They make sure that rapists, Satanists, fanatic LGBT, fanatic whites, fanatic Jews dominate things, harass their secretaries, kids are getting raped. They make sure that that occurs. They make sure that I'm suppressed. They make sure that I'm harassed. They don't do anything decent. They make sure attractive women shun me. They keep me from martial arts. There's no halfway between good and evil here. It's pure evil what they're doing to me. The only reason I'm still alive is because it's more evil to torture me and keep me alive than it is to kill me. That's the situation. And shame on you if you respect them at all.